Here's a question for you. If you were an NFL GM in 2023 and had the 12th overall pick in the draft, are you taking a chance on a running back? Beyonc Robinson, maybe, but he was long gone by pick 12. Analysts thought the Lions were crazy to go for Jahmyr Gibbs. Of course he was good, but was he worth a top 12 pick? A lot of guys didn't even have him in the first round in mock drafts, but the Lions knew exactly what they wanted.
That's part of the element that makes it so fun is you're hoping he's still going to be there, and Scaransky goes off the board, and there he is, man.
With the 11th pick, the Tennessee Titans select Peter Scaransky.
2 years later, Gibbs is making NFL history with David Montgomery. 10-plus rushing touchdowns each in back-to-back seasons and 20 total for Gibbs in 2024. Sonic and Knuckles are setting the league on fire.
On first down, Jahmyr Gibbs with an opening, and Gibbs with great speed down the sideline. Jahmyr Gibbs, one man to beat. He'll beat him.
So, who really got it wrong here? Let's find out. Let's start at the top. The 2023 draft kicked off with the Carolina Panthers making Bryce Young the first overall pick. At Alabama, Young was electric. In 2021, he put together an incredible year, 4,872 yards and 47 touchdowns, which was enough to secure him the Heisman Trophy. His numbers went down a bit in 2022 with 3,328 passing yards and 32 passing touchdowns in 12 games, but that arm talent and football IQ had scouts drooling.
Because Bryce Young is just a magician to me, and he can do things that no other quarterback in this class can. But watch him on the field. Watch how poised he is. Like when everything breaks down around him and it's chaos and it ensues, that's when the game slows down the most for him.
But man, his NFL journey has been tough to watch so far. His rookie year was very rough. 2,877 yards with just 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions across 16 games, and he was sacked on more than 10% of his dropbacks. So the offensive line was not doing him any favors. And if you thought that was bad, 2024 started out even worse. Literally his first pass of the season was picked off. And after losing to the Chargers at home in week 2, 26-3, the Panthers benched him. Young said he was shocked by the decision, but the numbers don't lie. Carolina had the worst third down conversion rate out of any NFL team in more than 30 years.
He's thrown for 245 total yards in 2 games, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and yesterday against the Chargers, he had a quarterback rating of 8.9.
But here's where things get really interesting. By week number 8, Young was back starting under center with an okay showing against Denver. 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Then in week 10, he helped lead an overtime win against the Giants. But the real turnaround came in the final 3 weeks of the season. Against Arizona in week 16, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
That's a touchdown from Bryce Young.
Against Tampa Bay in week 17, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, and again, no interceptions. Then he saved the best for last in week 18 against Atlanta. 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, again without a single pick. The dude even rushed for 2 touchdowns on top of that. This didn't even look like the same player that we saw during the first 2 weeks of the year. What a wild ride, from getting his first pass of 2024 intercepted to finishing the season looking like the guy that Carolina thought they were drafting. Panthers fans might just have something to feel good about heading into 2025. The Houston Texans struck gold with the second overall pick. CJ Stroud came out of Ohio State after 2 monstrous seasons, 4,435 yards and 44 touchdowns in 2021, then 3,688 yards and 41 touchdowns in 2022. Those numbers had Texans fans excited, but nobody expected what was going to happen next.
Stroud fires deep, sideline throw, and Nico Collins hauls it in,
costing him 74 yards. The throw on time, the touchdown, Nico Collins. Stroud to the end zone, touchdown.
Stroud's rookie campaign was off the charts. We're talking 4,108 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, and somehow only 5 interceptions in 15 games. His 1% interception rate was the lowest in the entire NFL. That's crazy ball security, especially for a rookie. Offensive Rookie of the Year was a lock, and his name was even thrown in the MVP conversation.
To see what he's done with this team and just how he's changed the whole culture and gave the city hope, you know, having a guy like him who can go put points on the board.
There's been tons of clips floating around showing Stroud breaking down defenses, explaining coverages, and discussing play concepts. I mean, this guy trains and approaches the game like a 10-year vet. But 2024 did have some growing pains. Sophomore slump, some might say. His numbers dipped across the board: 3,727 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions over the full 17-game season. His yards per game dropped, touchdown percentage fell, interception percentage climbed, and he took more sacks behind a struggling offensive line. But even with the regression, Stroud guided the Texans to the playoffs, where they knocked out the Chargers before eventually falling to the Chiefs. Still, after 2 seasons, the Texans have to feel great about landing their franchise quarterback. And the Texans weren't done after grabbing Stroud. They actually traded up to get the 3rd pick too, snagging Alabama edge rusher Will Anderson Jr. He came to Houston with a solid college resume: 34.5 sacks and 63 tackles for a loss at Alabama. That's the kind of production that works at any level. As a rookie in 2023, he wasted no time living up to the hype. In 13 starts, he put up 7 sacks and got to the quarterback 22 times, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year and making the Pro Bowl. The way he stopped the run while still getting after the quarterback showed his game was complete right from the start. In year 2, Anderson continued playing at a high level. Even though he only played in 14 games in 2024, his sacks jumped up to 11. His quick first step and hand fighting let him beat offensive tackles in many different ways. But what makes him special compared to other pass rushers is how he prepares. His film study and professional mindset gives him the real edge. He figures out plays quickly and doesn't make mental mistakes too often. With Stroud running the offense and Anderson leading the defense, the Texans have built a foundation that should keep them in the mix for many years to come. Those back-to-back draft picks in 2023 might go down as one of the best draft hauls we have seen in a long time. After watching the Texans snag 2 franchise cornerstones, the Colts took their swing at quarterback, with Anthony Richardson at pick 4. This pick was all about potential. Unlike Stroud and Young, Richardson never put up huge numbers in college. Just 2,549 yards with 17 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in his 12 games during 2022.
Maybe one of the most polarizing prospects in Anthony Richardson. And many believe the Gators quarterback has huge upside, but there are significant accuracy concerns. Only 4 QBs have been selected in the first round in the last 25 drafts with a sub-55 completion percentage.
But man, the physical tools are something else here. Richardson throws the ball like he's trying to put it through a brick wall. Whether it's a deep bomb or a quick slant, the ball comes out like a cannon. His arm talent is off the charts.
Pressure's coming. Richardson slips. Now he's airing it out deep down the field for Pierce. Pierce, touchdown!
But his NFL career so far has consisted of 3 things. You got your flashes of brilliance, your accuracy issues, and a whole lot of time on the sidelines. In 2023, he only played 4 games due to a shoulder injury. He finished that year with 577 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And his best game came in Week 4 against the Rams, where he threw for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a solid 98.7 passer rating. Even in that game, though, he only completed 11 out of his 25 pass attempts. Heading into 2024, the hype for Richardson was insane, but what followed was another roller coaster ride. In 11 games, he threw for 1,814 yards with 8 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. His performances were all over the place. Week 1, for example, he showed some promise, throwing for 212 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and running in another. But then in Week 2, just 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions. The guy just couldn't string 2 good games together, and his accuracy was still a major concern. Staying healthy has been a huge problem, with Richardson missing 17 games over his first 2 seasons with everything from concussions to back problems. The Colts even sat him out for 2 games because he wasn't focused enough. The talent is certainly there, but it's still more about what he could turn into rather than what he is right now. The Colts are still trying to figure out if they can build around this guy for the future. The Seahawks absolutely nailed their pick at number 5 with cornerback Devin Witherspoon. At Illinois, he was an All-American in 2022 with 41 tackles and 3 interceptions, and he brought that same elite level of play right into the NFL. His rookie season in 2023 was incredible. The big highlight came in week 4 against the Giants when he picked off a pass and took it back 97 yards to the house. But Witherspoon wasn't just a one-play wonder. In 14 games, he had 3 sacks, 79 tackles, and broke up 16 passes. Some people thought that he even should have won Defensive Rookie of the Year over Will Anderson. He kept going in 2024, making his 2nd straight Pro Bowl with 98 tackles, 9 pass breakups, and a sack. Pro Football Focus had him as the 3rd best cornerback against the run in the entire league, although his coverage ranking was 49. So when you put that all together, he's 20th among all cornerbacks, which is still pretty good for such a young player. What really jumps out here is how good he is at tackling. Witherspoon had the most tackles for a cornerback in 2024, and he only gave up 63 catches, which was 6th best among his position. But when you watch him play, it did feel like there was a bit of a drop-off in his overall impact during year 2, which makes you wonder, is he going to keep getting better, or has he already hit his peak? Hopefully not the second one. Either way, the Seahawks are counting on Witherspoon to be a key piece of their defense for many years to come. The Cardinals went with protection at pick 6, grabbing Ohio State All-American tackle Paris Johnson Jr. When you're rebuilding a franchise, securing the offensive line is always a smart thing to do, and Johnson has mostly lived up to that first-round hype. Pro Football Focus had him as the 12th best tackle in the league for 2024, putting him solidly in the upper tier for his position. That's pretty impressive for a young lineman who's still getting used to the speed and power of NFL pass rushers. But when you dig deeper into the stats, you can see where he still needs to grow. He gave up 4 sacks in 2024, which ranked him 96th among all tackles. Not exactly great, and ultimately being consistent at the tackle position really matters more than anything else.
You know, Chris, it's not real sexy. It doesn't do much for the fantasy football crowd, but these are key pieces of a team. And when your offensive line is great, goes back to what Sean Payton said recently about Bill Parcells. When your offensive line is great, it permeates the entire building.
It's huge. And like we talked about too, O-line, it's become more of a premium because college football has become so basic. There's just very few that are really ready to go and play right away.
For Arizona, getting a potential franchise tackle at pick 6 is looking like one of their smarter draft moves in recent years, even though it would still be pretty awesome to see Gibbs and Kyler Murray on the same offense. That would be an insane read option that I don't think anybody could stop. The Raiders' choice at pick 7 has been more of a slow burn. Tyrie Wilson came out of college without huge numbers, just 17 sacks across 4 seasons, with most of his growth happening in his final 2 years with the Red Raiders.
Big physical presence right there with Tyrie Wilson. The best D lineman for the Red Raiders. That's somebody you might want to keep an eye on.
The jump to the NFL has been tough for Wilson, especially when you compare him to Will Anderson, who went just 4 picks earlier. Wilson had only 3.5 sacks and 8 quarterback hits as a rookie in 2023 before bumping his numbers up to 4.5 sacks and 10 quarterback hits in 2024. And if you look at PFF, they ranked him as just the 70th best edge rusher in the league during 2024. When I say PFF for the rest of this video, I'm referring to Pro Football Focus, by the way. That's pretty worrying for a top 10 pick. He's been better against the run than getting after quarterbacks, but his overall impact has been limited. Pass rushers often need time to develop, so it's too early to make final judgments about Wilson's career, but there's definitely a gap between where he was drafted and what he's shown on the field so far. Pick number 8 was a very interesting one. The Falcons made a huge splash when they took Texas star Beyonc Robinson.
He's the best player on their offense right away. This is the ideal landing spot for him.
In college, Robinson was unstoppable for the Longhorns, putting up 1,580 rushing yards and 20 total touchdowns in 2022 alone. And that production carried right over to the NFL.
Beyonc Robinson dancing around, and he has the football, puts a move on. Beyonc Robinson, he's going to hit his first NFL touchdown.
His rookie year showed that he was a serious dual threat with 1,463 yards from scrimmage and 8 touchdowns in 2023. But year number 2 is when this guy really took off. 1,887 total yards and 15 touchdowns in 2024, making the Pro Bowl and establishing himself as one of the NFL's best running backs.
Big hole left side, breaking the tackle inside the 30.
Like we said, he's the engine. 2nd and goal. Robinson again. Matthews with the block. That is a touchdown.
The thing that's really impressive to me is he's doing all of this on a mediocre team. I mean, the Falcons went 7-10 in 2023 and then 8-9 in 2024. Defenses know he's getting the ball, and they still cannot stop him. The problem in Atlanta that I'm seeing, at least as a neutral viewer, is that you need to get this guy the ball a lot more. Tyler Algier should not be touching the ball more than a couple times a game, when Bijan is clearly the better player. PFF ranks him as the second best running back in the entire league for 2024 with a 92.8 overall grade, only behind Derrick Henry. His receiving skills make him even more dangerous. He's a 3-down back who, in my opinion, shouldn't come off the field too often. Robinson saved his best for last in 2024, shredding the Panthers defense for 170 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. The way he moves so quickly in tight spaces makes defenders miss constantly, creating big plays even when the blocking isn't too great. Young, Stroud, and Robinson are 3 guys that you can't really blame teams for taking ahead of Gibbs, even with a bit of hindsight. But it's definitely going to be interesting watching these 2 running backs battle it out over these upcoming seasons. It could be like the whole Barry Sanders versus Emmitt Smith situation all over again. A decade of highlights with 2 guys fighting for that top spot. Here's another guy who looks like he's paying off in a big way. The Eagles found themselves a defensive monster with Jaylen Carter at pick 9. His college resume is great. 2-time national champion and All-American at Georgia, where he dominated despite not having eye-popping stats. Just 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles in his final year, but his run stopping was elite. Carter's impact so far in Philly has been huge. He had a good start in his rookie year, putting up 6 sacks, 33 tackles, and even returned a fumble for a touchdown, finishing second in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting.
Now you've got Bourne over there. I'd be attacking that. Jones in trouble. They got him. To make some hero throw.
We'll go to Cook. Nope. Oh, look at that swarm.
But in year number 2, he took a massive leap. The box score shows 4.5 sacks and 42 tackles, but anybody watching the games knows his impact was way bigger than those numbers. PFF had him as the 7th best interior defender against the pass because he consistently gets pressure even when you double team him. That kind of disruption forces quarterbacks to move and collapses the pocket from the inside, which is exactly what offenses hate the most. Carter shows up big in the biggest moments too. Against the Rams in the playoffs, his 2 clutch sacks made the difference in their 28-22 win.
3rd and 2. Stafford in trouble. He's sacked. Brought down by Jaylen Carter.
And he gave Patrick Mahomes nightmares during the Super Bowl, blowing up the pocket as part of that insane 4-man rush. When Aaron Donald calls you the next Aaron Donald, that's about as good of a compliment as you could possibly get. Carter seems to be living up to that comparison so far, making the Pro Bowl and the All-Pro second team in just his 2nd year, with some serious buzz about him as a future Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Yeah, you really can't argue with this pick at all. And if it wasn't for his off-field issues leading up to the draft, Carter would have never been available at number 9 for Philly to grab him. After the Eagles grabbed their defensive game record, the Bears took a more steady approach with Tennessee's Darnell Wright at pick 10. A lot of people had him highly rated at the time.
Look, I believe that this young man, when it's all said and done, has the ability to be the best player in this draft.
After 4 seasons with the Volunteers, Wright brought that same reliability to Chicago's offensive line. Obviously, offensive tackles don't really make the highlight reels, but Wright's development shows exactly why using those high draft picks on the trenches often pays off in the long run. PFF has him as the 16th best offensive tackle in 2024 and 7th best in run blocking. That's seriously good for a 2nd-year player, and you won't see him missing a block very often. What makes Wright so valuable is the stability that he brings to the Bears offense that's been going through a ton of changes. Fans might not buy his jersey or get hyped up the same way they do for Caleb Williams, but this seems like a decent call for the Bears. He's becoming a solid piece who will probably anchor their line for years to come. Coming out of Northwestern with All-American honors in 2022, after 3 solid seasons, Peter Scaransky seemed like he should be a solid draft choice.
How you doing, Peter? This is Rand with the Tennessee Titans. How you doing, man? Man, we're going to turn this card in and make you a Titan officially, man. You're a guy that we coveted, that we've liked for a long time, and We think you come in here and help us build this thing right.
But so close to the top 10, looking back, this one seems interesting. Right now, he's sitting in that middle ground that makes draft analysis so difficult. PFF ranked him as just 71st overall among tackles in 2024, but he was 12th best in pass protection, which is something that you can't ignore. What the Titans would like to ignore is him being ranked 107th in run blocking. He wasn't helping out Tony Pollard or Tajay Spears too much last season, but it does make you question his overall value. When you spend such a high pick on an interior lineman, you really need someone that's going to transform your line, not just a decent starter. Scaransky has shown flashes of his potential, but the complete package just isn't there yet. And when you see what a monster Jahmyr Gibbs has turned out to be, he's the kind of player that could have Titans fans revisiting the glory days of Madden with CJ2K. The problem is that they really still need an offensive line, so the Titans probably wouldn't have been much better off. What's interesting is we're coming out of this era where running backs have lost a lot of their value, but in the last couple of years, they're definitely getting their shine back. With the success of Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, and obviously Saquon Barkley, and now we got the young, exciting players like Jahmyr Gibbs and Beyonc Robinson, we're probably going to see running backs get a bit more respect. Looking at all these guys taken before Gibbs, you've got some hits, some misses, and a whole lot of what-ifs. Yeah, we got some real difference makers like CJ Stroud, and then Jaylen Carter looks like he might be a generational talent on the defensive line. Beyonc Robinson also has looked great so far, but then you've got guys still trying to figure it out. When the Lions took Gibbs at number 12, the draft experts lost their minds. But Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes knew exactly what they were doing. Just goes to show you that sometimes you gotta say screw it and follow your gut. If all these other teams could go back in time, would they still take their original guy, or would they be looking at Gibbs a little bit different to give them a spark on offense? I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below, and also, I cannot wait to see what Ashton Jeanty does this upcoming year.